Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypno-coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you'd like to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Today I want to talk about something psychologists call unenforceable rules. These are expectations that we may come to have about how other people should behave that upset us when they don't behave that way, because we don't control others and we have to deal with the reality that others will often not do what we think they should. The result is frustration, unhappiness, and anger that can shatter relationships and plans. Now, I want to drop a thank you note for this topic to a member of one of my online hypnosis programs who pointed this topic out to me as part of a larger discussion. For privacy reasons, I can't name him, but if he views this podcast, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Now, all of this relates to the work of a psychologist named Dr. Fred Luskin. He is the director of Stanford University Forgiveness Projects and a senior consultant in health promotion. He's the author of a number of books, Forgive for Good, Forgive for Life, and Stress Free for Good, being the best known. I have followed his work for many years and incorporate a number of his ideas and concepts into my own work with my clientele, including my hypnotic work. Now, one of Luskin's ideas is something that he calls unenforceable rules. It builds on concepts drawn from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is one of the relatively few empirically verified systems of psychotherapy. That means you can do careful research and demonstrate that it works. Cognitive behavioral therapy states that our reactions to events are caused by the way we think about and process those events. The event itself may have been something that some people would have just laughed off or ignored, but we found it devastating because of the way we thought about it. Examples. Someone gets turned down for a date by someone they really admired. One person shrugs their shoulders and moves on, while another feels upset, hurt, and down in the dumps. The exact same thing happened to both people, but their reactions to it are different because of the way they thought about it. One says, well, there are lots of fish in the sea, while the other says, well, there must be something wrong with me, and their mood crashes. The good news is that we can learn to talk back to our inner voice and correct our thinking so we evaluate what happens to us in ways that cause less self-harm. Now, this is really important because, as Mark Twain is said to have quipped, refusing to forgive is like drinking poison yourself and waiting for your enemy to die. That is, resentments and grievances only hurt the person who feels them. They don't do anything to the person who caused them. So you forgive others for your own benefit, because resentment and holding grievances cause lasting emotional and physical harm to us. And Luskin is really good in drawing out the research to show that this is true. Well, whatever we are upset about that causes the grudges we hang on to, those things are in the past and can't be changed. But when we ruminate on them, that is, bring them up over and over again in our mind, or perseverate on them, which means bring them up again and again in discussions with other people, we're doing that in the present and causing present harm to ourselves. And here's the thing, we are responsible for that ourselves. While someone or a group of someones may have done something really mean to us, our reaction to that is something that we have to own and take responsibility for. One person might say, well, so and so did something really shitty to me, so I'll ignore them as much as possible going forward and turn my attention to other people and opportunities, while another person says, so and so did something really shitty to me, and so I'll try to get even. I'll ponder ways to mess them up in retribution, and I'll struggle with bad feelings about myself because maybe some little part inside of me wonders if things said about me are true. Well, that latter person needs to take responsibility for deciding to react in that negative, energetically wasteful, and self-harming way. And this gets me to a really brilliant idea that Dr. Luskin has, the unenforceable rule. An unenforceable rule is when you allow your wish that a situation where you got hurt had gone differently to become a demand that it should have. Now, a lot of the things that happen to us are things we can't control. They're caused by the actions of other people or external events. But you somehow feel resentment about them because you've created an unconscious belief that you should be able to have expected that things would have gone down differently. She should have treated me better than she did when I asked her out and she said no. My boss had no right to yell at me because of something a coworker did. Hey, I did everything right and I still failed. My ex-wife or ex-husband or partner was dishonest and manipulative. Now, all of these statements may be true. It would have been nicer if your romantic interest had been more kind. It probably is bad management that your boss blamed you for something someone else did. It's really sad that you did everything correctly, but because of bad luck, market changes, or what have you, you didn't get the result you wanted. Not all romantic relationships go well. There are some self-serving people out there. You try to avoid them, but we're all going to get that wrong some of the time. The resentment you feel comes not from what happened, but from your unconscious belief that what happened had no right to happen because there was some sort of rule that said it shouldn't. But the reality is there are no such rules. There is no rule that says a prospective date should be willing to let you down gently. There will be people who do, but there also will be people who could care less. There is no rule that says only good management should happen in the workplace. A good thing too, because bad management happens all the time. There is no rule that says if you try hard, you'll always succeed, because Most of the time, success happens in a minority of situations, not the majority. There is no rule that says someone who is romantically involved with you is necessarily honest or thoughtful. If you get that there are no rules that should have prevented whatever happened to you, those memories become easier to deal with. Well, I'll look for nicer people to ask out. I'll pay attention to the kind of management a company seems to have before I accept the job, or I'll look for a better job if it turns out I was mistaken. I'll take comfort that success usually comes after multiple attempts, and so I'll try to be successful in some other way. I'll try to be more careful about where I give my trust and heart in a relationship. You don't get bogged down in the emotional swamp of resentment that comes from thinking that you had a right to demand what happened to you not have happened because of some sort of metaphysical rule that actually exists only in your mind. So, freeing yourself from resentment means realizing that you have an unconscious, unenforceable rule and then correcting that mistaken thought, that mistaken, unenforceable rule, which is encouraging your resentment and hurt. Now, yeah, there are laws out there that are enforced by the courts. There are social norms out there that are enforced sometimes by polite society, but both laws and social norms get violated often enough that we shouldn't be surprised when that happens. Instead, you move on to the next opportunity instead of getting hurt by making an unconscious demand that people not act like people. Having a lot of unenforceable rules only magnifies your frustration and your unhappiness and your anger, and you will be better off without them. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject, and I'd like to invite you to join me. It does help me if you let others know about my work and my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through email, my website, or my Patreon channel. Stay well and stay safe.